Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Lonely Widow in the AITAH subreddit. The post is titled AITA for walking out on a blind date my friend set up for me. It's been 2 weeks since my husband died. I just really need some clarity on this situation. I'm a 23-year-old female who lost my husband, a 25-year-old male, weeks ago in a car accident. He was the love of my life and I'm still not used to waking up without him every day. We had big plans for our future and it all came crashing down in a heartbeat. We met on his uncle's farm. He was a farmhand and it was love at first sight for me. I'm also 4 months pregnant, but I haven't told anyone yet. I was planning on telling my friend when I was feeling better. My best friend Lee has been my shoulder to cry on during this time. She helped me with his funeral and anything else I needed as I'm no contact with my biological family. Story for another time. She is currently dating Barry and they usually hang out in a trio with Liam. When I first met Liam, he hit on me hard. He tried everything, including comparing himself to my husband and making weird comments like our kids would be cuter than if I had kids with my husband. He's also made strange remarks like I need a city boy while motioning to himself even though I'm a country girl through and through. Typically, I would shut him down or ignore him, but I would always get dirty looks from Barry. Skip to Sunday night. I received a message from Lee begging me to come to dinner with her because she wanted to treat me after everything I've been through in the last couple of weeks. Feeling a bit better about myself, I decided to go. When I arrived, she wasn't there, so I texted her asking how long she would be. She told me 5 minutes, she was just running late and was around the corner. So I sat down and ordered a drink. 5 minutes passed and she still wasn't there, so I gave her the benefit of the doubt and waited another 5 minutes. Just as I was about to call her, Liam came rushing over and apologized for being late. I asked him what he was doing there since I was waiting for Lee at a 2-chair table. He smiled at me and grabbed my hand. I quickly pulled it away from him and told him that I wasn't interested and that I certainly didn't care about getting to know him, that I had just lost my husband. Without missing a beat, this man stood up and said, "I know you're being overly emotional right now, so I'll forgive you for that. Sit down with me. I'm not saying we have to have sex right away or anything." I was disgusted. I shoved past him and went home as fast as I could. When I got home, Lee messaged me asking how dinner went with a smirk emoji. I called her and when she answered, I didn't let her get a word in edgewise. I yelled at her and asked how she had the audacity to do something like this just weeks after losing my husband when she had been the one holding me together this whole time. I asked her what game she was playing and told her that the only reason I wanted to meet tonight was to tell her I'm pregnant. Then I hung up on her and texted her that I needed time and didn't want to be contacted by her for the time being. Last night, Barry came to my house and asked to talk. I said no and that if he didn't leave, I'd call the police. He told me that I broke Lee's heart and deeply hurt Liam. He insisted that now would be an even better time to get to know Liam because he could raise my child with me. When he took my open door as an invitation to talk, instead of engaging with him, I hit him with my shoes and chased him to his car screaming. I'm actually embarrassed that I did that. All day today, I've been flooded with messages from friends and the trio themselves shaming me for pushing away the people who care about me most and saying they don't even recognize the person I've become. The thing that hurts me most is that my husband would know what to do. He would tell me how to fix the situation and now I have no one to talk to. I'm just so numb inside. I have a therapy appointment tomorrow but am thinking of calling my husband's mom even though we've barely spoken since the funeral. Any advice is appreciated. Please excuse any typos. I'm just so exhausted. I do not think OP is wrong at all for reacting the way she did. Perhaps I'm reading too deeply into it, but the vibe I'm getting is that OP's friend has a fantasy where she sets up her best friend with the guy she selected, sort of as an ego boost. I believe that this type of event is enough to warrant OP cutting off her ties to this friend group. User Roman 1969 said, "The real problem here is your friendship with Lee. She may have supported you during the first few weeks of your loss, but she's certainly not your friend now. She's pimping you out to any bozo who comes along, probably at her husband's insistence. If they and anyone else think you can get over such a profound loss with a cheap fling, then they need to be out of your life. The fact that they're all in on taking advantage of a grieving pregnant widow is beyond creepy. Of course you've changed. You've just lost your husband, which would deeply affect any normal person. Cut them out of your life. No explanation needed. You and baby are all that matter now." friends have absolutely no place in your life now. I'm deeply sorry for your loss. User, if I were in your shoes, said NTA 1,000 times over. That is way too soon for any of that. I know women who have taken years to start dating again, and I am truly sorry for your loss. You need time to grieve. Take the time you need. There is no timeline for it. Take care of yourself and your child. User, my friends call me epic, said, freaking vultures. They aren't your friends, they're just vultures with a savior complex. They think saving you is their calling, and they don't care at all about your feelings. I'm so sorry for your loss. It's good that they are showing who they are now, though. It's time to trim the excess fake friends. NTA. Update. I just wanted to start off by saying that I called my mother-in-law Louise. After making the post, I felt it was important to tell her about the baby because, just like some of you said, she is overjoyed about the news. She didn't answer my call, but instead drove straight over to my house. I honestly didn't know what to say to her, but we just hugged and cried all night. I didn't have the best delivery about how I am pregnant, probably due to all the crying, but she just lit up and was so happy. It's the first time I've seen her this happy in all the time I've known her, so at least I have some support. My father-in-law came over after he finished work because Louise told him he needed to come to my house, and he was also overjoyed about becoming a grandpa. Louise offered for me and the baby to move in with her, and I agreed. She said that I can sleep in my husband's old room, which was a little bittersweet. When I told her what was going on with Lee, Liam, and Barry, she was furious and told me not to worry about it because they have my back. After a lot more crying, my father-in-law told me that my husband would be so happy to have this baby grow up on a farm like he did. Overall, our conversations last night were something I really needed. Now I'm just going to answer some comments. No, this isn't fake. If you choose to believe that, then that's fine. But don't drag my husband into it when you don't even know him. Liam didn't kill my husband. It was a car accident, and my husband died on impact. Nothing crazy went on, it's just awful, but it is as simple as that. Lee was my friend for a long time. She was genuinely there for me when I went no contact with my parents, and I thought she was a decent friend. Now, knowing the truth, there are many things I can think of that she did that were red flags. Personally, I think I ignored them because I had never been close to anyone like that other than my husband. Liam is a loser. From my chat with Barry, I learned that he's always had feelings for me and has never given up because apparently I'm his type. He isn't and never will be. Yes, I ordered a drink. I didn't think I needed to disclose that it was lemonade. It was simply soda, nothing wild. I know I'm pregnant and would never do anything silly. I'm not magically pregnant. My husband and I both wanted children young and were trying for about a year. We just didn't disclose that we were trying because we thought it was weird to tell people we were having an extra amount. My husband and I are very private people and kept a lot of it that way. As for the trio, I've blocked them. None of my family are reaching out because they simply don't know me anymore. The only friends who are reaching out are mutuals of either Lee or Barry and one of Liam's other friends. I was confused about whether I was an ass for leaving Liam standing there and yelling at Lee. I was so upset and confused about the entire situation. Thank you all for your support. I will update on what happens because I know Liam will not give up until he's in jail. I seriously hope it doesn't come to that, but the fact that he drove past my house twice is unsettling. I'm hopeful that moving to my husband's parents' farm will put me and my baby on a better path. Mini update. Firstly, some good news. I found out that I'm having a little girl. I'm actually feeling a little bit better today and thought I'd update. I moved in with my in-laws the morning after they had come over. We went to the police and unfortunately, there is nothing they can do unless he trespasses or comes into physical contact with me, basically until the situation gets worse. However, I did take the initiative to move, so they think he will be less of a threat now that I don't live in that house. They did take screenshots of his weird, creepy messages and noted that he has been driving past relentlessly. After a few days, we came into town to go grocery shopping and saw Lee. She went to approach me, but my mother-in-law stared at her and yelled, "No!" Lee looked awkward as my mother-in-law continued, "Yes, I'm talking to you, Lee. Go bother someone else with your bullshit." Lee ended up walking away, which we thought was good. I was greatly overwhelmed, obviously, about seeing her, and my anxiety has gotten worse since the blind date. I think I was also anxious because Lee is never without Barry, so I was very worried. When we had finished shopping and were walking back to our car, Lee and Barry were waiting for us. Again, my mother-in-law started screaming. She was yelling that he was scum and they were trying to take advantage of a pregnant woman, basically doing anything to embarrass them and draw a crowd. Lee and Barry left again, not without looking scared. Since then, I moved to the farm and it has been drama-free. I had an appointment yesterday and found out about my baby girl and that I have high blood pressure, most likely due to stress. We'll have to watch it just in case of preeclampsia, as my biological mother had it. My husband has always wanted a girl, so I know she is a gift from him. Apart from the grocery store incident and the police visit, it's been very positive for me being with my in-laws and their dog, Spud. Thank you again. Final update. Thank you to everyone who helped me with my issues regarding Lee and the others. It's over. I was attacked and suffered greatly. I lost my baby a month ago and I will be logging off for a while. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you for your kindness. Enjoy your holidays. User Rawana133 said, "Oh shit. Not the update I was praying for. I am so sorry for your loss. Take all the time you need and may your ex-friend and her psycho friend rot in the deepest pits of hell. I'm praying for your healing and future happiness." User 1Yak said, "You have experienced more loss in such a short time than many do in a lifetime. Words will never be able to do justice or properly express what you must be feeling. I truly wish you the best, and I hope that with time, you find things that make you smile and bring you happiness. You have an entire world of people wishing the best for you. I hope you find an outlet for your emotions and give yourself space to be a little crazy for a bit because you've earned it. Sending all the love and hope I can from an electronic keyboard. Sincerely, a stranger who is also far too familiar with loss." User Blue Wolf said, "Oh, OP, this is not the update I had hoped to hear. I'm so terribly sorry this happened to you, and I can't begin to imagine how you feel. However, I hope this might bring you some comfort. The DNA from your baby will stay a part of you for decades. She will always be a part of you both in your heart and in your body. You'll be carrying a piece of her wherever you go for a long time." This next post was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "My wife lost a lot of weight to gain the attention of her work crush. How do I move forward? After we had our kids, my wife gained a lot of weight, like 80 pounds, and honestly, I was fine with it. I thought she was still hot, and my desire for intimacy never waned. So for a while, she was fine with her weight too. Fast forward 5 years and all of a sudden, my wife gets really into fitness and nutrition. She buys a Peloton, goes on a strict diet, loses all the weight and then some. She looks like she did when I met her in her early 20s. She looks great, but like I said, I thought she looked great when she was heavier too. Then one day last week, she comes home from work and I can tell something is really bothering her. I ask what's wrong, but she's just evasive and distant. This lasts a few days before she finally breaks. She tells me that the reason she was so determined to lose weight was because she wanted attention from a guy at work she has a crush on. She said that all the women have a crush on this guy and she just wanted his attention. Well, apparently she got too much of it on the day she came home, so upset. He had apparently been flirting with my wife for a few weeks, and that day he asked her if she wanted to have dinner with him after work at a restaurant that just so happens to be in a hotel. He heavily implied that they could get a room afterward or even skip the restaurant and just get room service. She tells me that to this point it was all just a fantasy in her head, but now it was real and she snapped out of it. She realized that she'd gone way too far. She declined his invitation, of course, and felt she needed to confess what she'd done to me. I was crushed and still am. First, I'm actually upset, she told me. I know this is some form of cheating, but I didn't suspect anything. She could have just kept this to herself and not passed her burden onto me. So the thought comes to my mind that maybe she wants me to dump her so she can be with this guy, and that's why she is telling me. So I ask her that and she breaks down crying. That's not what she wants, she says. She loves me and just wanted to be honest with me and apologize. Nothing physical happened, I'm pretty sure of it. I can track her phone and also have pretty free access to it. She never hides it, leaves it everywhere, and that phone never leaves work. I suppose she could be cheating on her lunch break and leave the phone, but I just don't think she'd leave the phone and not be available for the kids. So I don't think I want to divorce. I love her and we have kids. But it's just eating at me that she did all the work she did to be attractive for another man. I don't know where to go or even what to ask of her. I just need some advice. Update. I want to thank everyone for commenting on my original post. I received some good advice, but above all, I just needed to vent. So thanks for listening. I talked more with my wife after my first post in an attempt to understand why she did what she did. From what she tells me, every woman in the office swoons over this guy. They all flirt with him, my wife included, and he never flirts back. A few of the single ones have basically thrown themselves at him, but still got nothing. So my wife thinks that when she was younger and thinner, she could and did have guys that looked like him chase after her. She wanted to prove to herself that she could still get the attention of a hot young guy if she wanted. To answer a common question, yes, she was very heavily flirting with him, but she says that he knew she was married, and since she didn't plan on ever being with him alone, it was harmless. Now that I think about it, she was in a great mood in the few weeks prior to her breaking down. She was kind of all over me as well. We hadn't had that much sex in years. She tells me that it wasn't so much the guy at work heating her up, but how his attention made her feel. Again, I always gave her plenty of attention. Why that wasn't enough to make her feel good about herself, I don't know. And that's really what hurts me most. What I thought of her didn't matter. She says what I thought did matter, but she asked me if she walked past me on the street at her heaviest, would I turn and look? I don't do that with anyone, but I would still have found her attractive. I guess I see the point she is making. When she was younger, she did get a lot of head turns and got used to that. She liked the attention, and when that all went away, it made her depressed. In the end, I think we will be okay. I'll get over this, but as of now, I'm not letting her know that. I told her she needs to go to therapy and work on why she needs this external validation from people she doesn't care about. She agreed to do that. Like I said in my original post, I don't think she did anything physical with him. We have Lifestyle 360 and I see where she goes. She goes straight from home to the office and back every day. She either brings lunch or gets something delivered. I just don't think anything happened. I acted cold toward her for a few days. It may have been a little cruel, but I wanted her to sweat a little and think I was questioning the relationship. Selfishly, I wanted to see her panic and try to win me back. I felt I needed to see that she cares what I think of her. She was a mess bordering on desperate. She cried a lot, which eventually broke me. I love her and couldn't stand to see her sad. So in short, she is going to go to therapy and we will do couples counseling down the road. Thanks for all the advice, everyone. User Hooligan8 said, not great, but not the worst. It sucks that the wife felt the need to emotionally cheat to build her self-esteem, and it sucks a little that OP was so intentional about wanting to emotionally hurt his wife to make himself feel better about a shitty situation. That said, I think they'll be fine long term. OP has clearly always been super into his wife, and the wife actually confessed on her own. Also, in this case, I think I believe OP's wife that this was more about an ego trip than actually wanting to sleep with a stranger. The fact that he can literally track where she is at all times, and the fact that she never got sketchy with her phone are important details in my opinion. To this user, Cat Psychological said, I'm a woman in her early 30s who has gained a lot of weight after being thin and hot in my 20s. It's crazy how differently people treat you, and it really can hurt your self-esteem even when you have a loving partner at home. It's a weird mind realizing that the positive attention you were used to was just because of your appearance, and even more of a mind when you realize just how much of your identity and self-worth was tied to people finding you attractive. I'm not excusing her emotional cheating, but I can understand how hard it is to change your entire mindset about your self-worth. User Dave Kayao said, it was sad to watch this guy pull the wool over his own eyes on this one, but it's his life. This wasn't a random approach from a sleazy man. She spent literal months of her life losing weight and flirting to catch this guy's sexual attention before succeeding. That's a lot of effort, all behind her husband's back. So how obvious did this guy's wife need to be before her coworker felt confident in making that offer? Way more than just flirting. Anything short of a, how about you book us a room so I can show you what I look like after losing that weight, would leave things open for interpretation, which might make him hesitate. But if OP doesn't want to see it, he won't see it, no matter how obvious. This next post was made in the relationship subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, Ex-Friend Asked Me About Our Relationship Over 10 Years Ago. So this will be a weird one. I made a throwaway for it as I think this is a pretty unique situation that the person in question could very easily figure out is about them, and I don't want them knowing my main, if they even use Reddit. I am happily married with 2 children. My wife and I have been together for 8 years, married for 4. We were out shopping in our hometown when we ran into my ex-friend, her parents, and her children. She moved out of state over 10 years ago, and I haven't seen her since, nor have we had any contact other than Facebook happy birthday wishes. She is married with 2 kids of her own. Anyway, on to the situation. My Phil and her father are friendly with each other, both retired military, and occasionally have breakfast together with their other retired friends. When we ran into each other, ex-friend's dad congratulated my wife and me. We figured my Phil told him we're expecting our third child. I saw my ex-friend look at my wife's belly and then acted distant for the rest of the exchange, whereas she was friendly starting off. We trade pleasantries and say goodbye. My wife and I continue about our shopping. By the time we're done, I check my phone and see I have a Facebook message from ex-friend. XF, it was good to see you again. Me, you too, the family looks good. XF, yours too, would you want to grab coffee and catch up? I'm in town for a couple more days. Me, we're actually pretty busy, otherwise I would be down. I'm sorry. XF, I understand, adulting. Can I ask you a question? Me, sure, what's up? XF, was I just not your type? Me, what do you mean? XF, I'm asking what did I do wrong? Me, didn't respond as this was out of nowhere. XF, I pursued you for years. We were inseparable for years and you never gave us a real chance. I loved you. Our families loved us. Our friends loved us together. You just never committed all the way to us. You wouldn't even have sex with me and I need to know why. Was I not good enough? Could you not see yourself married to me and having a family together? I didn't respond and I showed the messages to my wife. She knows of this girl and my reasoning for her and I growing apart. My wife told me to be honest with her, but I'm not sure if that's right. It feels mean. I'm going to give my POV on our friendship and I'm hoping I can get some advice on where to go from here. Basically, she and I met through friends in high school. I was very interested, but she was dating someone at the time. She ended up asking me out a month or so later and we went on dates and kissed a few times, though we never had the conversation on being official. One night while riding in the car, her BF called her and asked when she'd be over. She didn't have it on speaker, but I could still hear the conversation. She told him I can't talk right now and he asked who she's with. She didn't tell him. He later figured it out and messaged me on Facebook asking if I knew they were still together. I apologized and said I didn't and would cut things off. I called her and she started crying, saying she didn't have the courage to tell me they were still together, but she liked me so much and was going to break up with him. I cut her off anyway. Fast forward a few more months and she reaches out and we go through the same motions. Her wanting to be with me but always having another guy messaging her that I would catch out of the corner of my eye. This lasted years. Throughout college and our early 20s, it was always the same. She'd reach out, we'd reconnect, and things begin getting serious again. I'd check her social media and see she just broke up with someone. We even went on vacation to the mountains together for a weekend and the same thing. She had literally just been there a month ago with her ex. The worst part is both our families really did love us together. My parents were never rude to my girlfriends but would ask me how XF is doing these days. Or snide remarks about how her parents miss me. Hell, even my now Phil at one point mentioned that X's dad brought up how he really thought I'd be his son one day. I confided in my friends years ago that I'm always just a rebound or backup plan, and that's why I could never commit or get more physical with her. They told me to just sleep with her when she comes calling and don't pursue anything more. The problem was I wanted more but felt used. Anyways, every time we would plan things out where more than likely on the table, I'd see a guy message her or I'd see a post on social media and it just killed my enthusiasm. When I say that, I mean literally. It crushed my confidence every single time. One of my best friends told me I didn't have to pay attention to all that and could have just had my fun with her. Didn't mean I had to chase a relationship with her knowing I was always a rebound. That felt shitty to me. I had other girlfriends here and there, but I wanted this girl. We just clicked, you know? But it's like some sort of goddamn mystical being was showing me a sign every single time things were going to progress our relationship. I just didn't want her to be getting over someone else or having someone on the back burner when we'd reconnect. Maybe that's my own insecurity, but I know how I felt and it didn't feel good. So I slowly distanced myself. After a short amount of time passed, I met my wife, she met her husband, and our lives moved on with little to no contact until the other day. I haven't responded to the message and it's been 2 days. I was thinking of just lying and saying it's not her fault or just not responding, but my wife is insisting I tell her the whole thing. I know this is a word wall, but I'm honestly conflicted. I told my wife I was going to ask others for their opinion, and I'm considering the internet as my others. User the Taco Life said, OP, she is doing exactly the same thing she always did with you. I would bet all of the cash in my wallet that if you were able to look into her life, her marriage is crumbling or her husband isn't paying enough attention to her. You were the great white whale that got away and she is trying to test the waters to see if you're down to do the same old song and dance. Now, it's even more of a challenge since you have a happy family and marriage. Don't engage with her. This sounds exactly like the same cycle you described from your young adulthood. User Blue Eagle said, I think your wife is right. Something along the lines of, it all worked out for the best. I went on to meet the love of my life. But as for why we never really went out, honestly, I never got the impression you were ever really serious about it. It felt like you were always playing the odds. I didn't want to be one of many, I wanted to find the one. Luckily, I did, and we have a happy family. I wish you and your family the best as well. And then stop replying if she continues. User Jingoistic Bell said, don't respond, this is not something you want to engage with. It's opening a door to a pointless conversation, an effort at flirtation, and so on. Alternatively, you can bring the nonsense to a full stop and just tell her you haven't thought of her in 10 years and can't begin to answer the question. Update. Thank you everyone for your responses. I decided to listen to the majority and responded to ex-friend A. The response was well received and we chatted the rest of the week before meeting up on the weekend before Easter. The short of it is that we're both leaving our partners. A and I are going to try this relationship again now that we've completely opened up to each other about our true feelings. Thank you all for the encouragement to do this. I couldn't have done it without you. April Fools, I would never. The real update is pretty anticlimactic. Unfortunately, I ended up just never responding to A. It had already been 5 days by the time I read through every response, and I decided to just let it go. My wife was fine with that, but told me to block her if she messages again. We did a couple of Easter egg hunts with different family members yesterday, including at my FILs. They have a decent sized property and host quite a few people, so I wasn't surprised to see non-family members. I was, however, surprised when A's parents were there with her children. After all the adults scattered to hide the eggs and the kids started their search, A's dad came over to chat with me, nothing out of the ordinary, and we shot the breeze for a few minutes. Towards the end, I asked if the kids were staying with them for Easter, and he basically told me that A and her husband were having some troubles and needed some time alone to sort things out. He didn't go into specifics, so I don't know exactly what those troubles are, but congratulations to those of you who called that one. For now, this should conclude the story. If she does happen to reach out again and I feel it's worth letting you all know what it says, then I will. Otherwise, thanks again.